Alrighty, guys, this just in. We're moving to a final. It looks like Oscar concedes after beating Justin Rios, so the Monkeys is out. Jonathan Rodriguez moves on to the finals with Super Saiyan 3 Blue Control. And then Alejandro Mena moves on to the finals with Super Saiyan 3 Monkeys. So we got Super Saiyan Blue versus Super Saiyan 3 Monkeys in the finals here. Two opponents leaving, just conceding. They can't stay past their bedtime. Who knows? But we got Alejandro Mena, Hartford champion, first ever Dragon Ball Series champion, finally making an appearance here. I don't think he's made it to a final of a PPG event. That's how stacked our local is. How has a regional champion not made it to a finals of one of our events? Like, can you explain that, Fernando? Can you explain what exactly is happening here?
Well, I don't know, but this is extremely exciting. We're going straight to the finals, and honestly, I am rooting for Alejandro. I feel like he should have a good matchup here. I have not seen this SS3 Blue control. I know that the player playing it is very skilled, but it's the only one of his kind. And I mean, he was first in Swiss at the end of the 5 rounds, so maybe he has something cooking here that no one expected. And I want to see how he fares against the Ape deck. I mean, most of them have barrier if Alejandro gets the full combo going, so it could be difficult for him to remove cards from the board with his very controlling deck. He plays a lot of single target removal, which doesn't work against barrier. So I'm very excited to see this matchup, and we'll see if Jonathan Rodriguez can defeat Alejandro Mena, one of the greatest players in the game right now, and they're just waiting to get set up here. And yeah, just something about this SS3 blue deck. I guess the reason why certainly didn't expect it was because the format is so fast right now. Who would have thought that single target removal and high drops like 4 drop cards, 5 drop cards would be as prevalent in the format as decks like Andrew Calderon's GT deck or Alejandro Mena's Apes. But I mean, he's doing pretty well for himself right now, and I want to see how this matchup plays out. And so let's see here. They're shuffling up. The tension is building. And this blue control deck, I know that the premier card in his deck is actually the 5-drop Beerus that forces your opponent to get rid of cards from either his board, creatures, or energy, or his hand equal to 6. He's been defeating players left and right with that card. So maybe, who knows, that card is super secret, overpowered in this this format just starting. So I really want to see this match. Something critical about it is if Alejandro Mena is not able to get the barrier 5-drop, which I believe he runs. I'm gonna find his list right here. So yeah, he plays 3 copies of the 5-drop, so he didn't trim any other copies coming into this event. He still values that barrier a significant amount, so he has to get, and a 12 here. Looks like I know who's going first. Jonathan Rodriguez for sure. Oh, an 11, strong showing, but not quite enough. For his basically tap out control deck where he has to use his whole mana, all his mana every single turn, I think going first does favor Jonathan Rodriguez. The Ape deck, their turn 1 is not as powerful as something like the red GT deck because their 1-drop Bardock doesn't attack the opponent like the GT Trunks does. But the extra draw from SS3 flipping on turn 1 could help Alejandro Mena set up his combo pieces together. So both decks Definitely fine with the result of the die roll here. I don't think it'll be incredibly influential to the match itself, but I feel game one, game one, the SS3 blue control deck might have an advantage simply because Alejandro Mena might not be super familiar with what his opponent is doing. I mean, it's a very unexpected combination of cards here coming out of Jonathan Rodriguez, former Yu-Gi-Oh player now, what seems to be all-star DBS player. So can see him. Something that I of note from his list, it's almost impossible for him to flip off-color cards during his turn one. As you can see here, he got 2 blue, and he's already off to a fantastic start with two 5K defenders. And let's see how Alejandro Mena can respond. It looks like he has 2 planets in his hand, and thinking of discarding one. Um, Definitely interesting. He might value the Bardock more. You could say that Awakening turn one isn't super pivotal, simply because Jonathan Rodriguez, that I know of, is not aggressing that much during the early turns of the game. His strength is definitely during the late game, so maybe he just wants to get that draw off. And you see 2 blue for one side, 2 yellow for the other. So these decks going off at full speed, and we'll see how the game develops from here.
Yeah, so both of them hitting their on color colors, I guess, and ideal opening for both players. Jonathan Rodriguez all the way to the finals, like we said, former Yu-Gi-Oh player, doesn't really play, hasn't really played Dragon Ball. I don't think I've seen him play any Dragon Ball whatsoever. He just showed up, and I was like, dude, there's no Yu-Gi-Oh today. What are you doing here? And he was like, no, I'm here for Dragon Ball. I was like, oh, really? Bet. That's awesome, dude. I'm really excited that he gave Dragon Ball a chance, and now he's in the finals against. He's got a very tough opponent in Alejandro Mena, Hartford regional champion, one of the best players in the game. Very excited to see this matchup, and really excited to see what wins here, because maybe Jonathan is onto something. Like you were saying, like maybe this is what the format should be. Like a bunch of removal spells, a bunch of cards that filter through each other. He's got Supreme King Goasu. He's got Energy Boosted Majin Buu. He's got Time Control. Time Patrol Chronia. He's got a bunch of these 1-drops that are just filtering through his deck, and then he has a consistent base, right? Nope, no multicolors, just blue, straight blue, and then you got black, some black cards. Obviously, every deck plays and some splash of black.
Pseudo super combo.
Yeah, and then you got pseudo super combo in the form of the Unbreakable Spirit, the Unbreakable Sun Goku, and it's just good. And then you don't have anything too over the top. You don't have anything that exceeds 5 energy in his deck. You have on 4 you got Bergamo, and on 5 you got Beerus, which is a very, very good combination, because Bergamo on 4 is like Bergamo on 3 because you're playing Super Saiyan 3, right? And then after you attack with the Bergamo, your opponent may be shut off from what they normally need to do, because now they have to attack the Bergamo, right? And then the following turn is usually very, very powerful, because you now have the ability of just slamming down a Beerus, right? The Divine Vanquisher, and now you have a Beerus and a Bergamo to deal with. And you can't really deal with the Beerus because the Bergamo is now locking you down. So now you have to commit additional cards to try to destroy that. And then on top of that, Jonathan's playing a card like this Tapion right here that is good because it could either awaken you for 1 or 2 just on the summon. And right when you summon it, whether you do 1 or 2, you get to turn your opponent back 1 turn. You can actually self-awaken yourself and put your opponent down back a turn, to the point where they just don't have the ability to net that extra card that they wanted, or they net 1 less card that they normally would have. So I think Jonathan's idea here is beautiful. I don't know if it's perfect, but it's gotten him to the finals. So he has to be onto something.
Definitely, and I mean, you can see that speaking more toward the style of the players, like this blue deck we see right here is basically a curve out deck. It's just get your 3-drop on turn 2, your 4-drop on turn 3, and your 5-drop on turn 4. I mean, they're powerful on the turns that they're supposed to be summoned, so definitely 1 turn earlier for these cards, they're even more powerful. And I mean, from seeing as he hasn't, I don't believe, lost a match this entire day, just extremely powerful combination of cards that he's bringing out here. Um, the apes themselves have a strong curve, that march on curve on turn 3 is powerful too, but I think this blue deck might have the edge.
This blue deck definitely, I think, has the edge just because it's really a surprise factor. It's really something that people are just like, whoa, well, like what is your win con? Like even when I look through the deck, I'm like, dude, how are you winning with this? I don't get it. Like what does your deck actually just do? And before you know it, you're just getting a bunch of pops with Beerish, you're getting a bunch of pops with Piccolo, you're getting critted by the Piccolo. You can't deal with your opponent's cards because now all of a sudden Bergamo comes down, and then like look at this, Alejandro's reading the Bergamo. Like everyone's picking up and reading the Bergamo. That like when you have your opponent doing that, you already know that you already have a significant edge, in that matchup. Whether your deck is built better or not, or your deck is mainstream or not, whatever the case is, like just by having that ability of just being able to make your opponent pick up your card and read it, then you're just like, wow, I have so much more of an advantage here because my opponent hasn't even really read what this card does, And now if the off chance that a player does not even read the card, then even better, like you can be in a better position where you're just like, well, it doesn't matter if you read the card because, it's just something that's unorthodox and it's something that you don't see every day.
So we see here the blue control deck. Just there he is, the star of the show, slamming down the beers, and we're gonna see how much advantage he can get from this. Alejandro Mena normally has 4 cost cards in his hand. So, there you go. Fortunately, he has a scientist move, but now he can't use it to overrun during his turn. So he lost the potential to attack for 25,000 and the draw 2, and it took 1,500 combo power away from him through giving up that Roshi in the card in hand. So I want to see how many more times Alejandro Mena can discard something like Fu, something higher than 6 cost, because eventually, if this beer survives, he's gonna keep taking more than 1 card out of Alejandro's hand. So here he marches, trying to recruit some of that card advantage from the last turn. But as it is right now, I don't know which deck can gain more card advantage, and it just looks to me as though Jonathan Rodriguez, if this beer isn't answered, he's gonna run away with the game. Um,
This is a pretty good card. Sorry, but this is a pretty good card that I think Alejandro's playing that you don't see very often. This is the Ultimate Potential Super Saiyan 2 Son Gohan. I've never read this card before, actually. It's one of the starter deck exclusives in the Crimson Saiyan deck. It's the yellow starter deck that just came out along with the Namekian one. So the only way to get this card is actually in the starter. It reads swap for 4. Double yellow, Goku's lineage with an energy cost of 4. So you can swap it out for double yellow with a Goku's lineage of 4. When you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's rest card battle cards and KO it. So this card seems like almost the new Explosive Son Goku, just because you're not playing Shigesh anymore, so it's not something that you're worried about. You're not like, oh man. But the thing is, you can actually play it like a Shigesh target anyways. The only thing that you're losing here is that it's not a barrier and it's not a blocker. But the good thing is here that it's searchable with the succession. So you can play the 0 cost extra card to search this card and search a removal card. So not only you have options. So now you're playing the 0 cost card anyways, right? You're playing the 0 cost extra card to search you the Bardock. But now you can search another Goku's lineage card, which happens to be a removal spell. So whether you use it for energy or combo or anything like that, it's just something that has the trait. And sometimes when you have the trait, it just makes the card just so much more valuable because not only does it play this one role, but it also has an option for this other role too. And that's when you have cards that really do really well, and they end up because they fill multiple roles. Just like any person, if you can fill multiple roles, you create more value and you create something that is just much more valuable for you to include in your deck than something that's a little bit less, something that's more linear or something like that. The only problem with this card is obviously it doesn't have the barrier blocker, but hey, what are you going to do? This is something that you can search. The other card, the Explosive Summon Goku, you cannot search. So this might be a mainstay. Make sure you guys pick up your starter decks because this card is retailing for about $4 right now on the low. And I think you get like 2 copies in a starter deck. So by spending the 15, you get 2 copies of this, yeah. And then you get the starter rare, which I think is like $4 or $5 or whatever. You end up making the money back like tenfold anyway. So just make sure you guys pick up this starter deck because a very, very good card that Alejandro's even maining in this case. He saw it good enough to main. So that already tells you something about the card.
Definitely in there for matchups like Mirror Cell, where the opponent summons a big creature during the early turns of the game. As it turns out, it also helps him against GT. Decks like that. Mirror matches where the opponent doesn't have barrier monkeys on board. Just an all-around great card. The explosive Goku we were talking about previously, yeah, it's good in matchups like U7 where you must have something to block or you could immediately lose the game to the victory strike, for example. But just the fact that you can search it from your deck and have it at your disposal more often than not when you need it, that's probably the reason why Alejandro put it over the explosive on Goku. And I mean, in the finals here, his choice paid off for sure. Again, the monkey deck showing that consistency trumps all, and it's that consistency which Alejandro has to rely on to beat this blue deck, which just looks like it's gaining card advantage left and right. So, yeah.
All right, so a beer is down for Jonathan, and if he can make this stick, then it's going to be something very, very, a very good asset for him because as that card attacks and attacks, not only is it 25 double striker, but it's going to be committing cards from Alejandro's hand, as you can see here, and that's just really, really powerful. And it looks like he takes both lives, so that's crazy. He goes down to 1 here, and that is not a good sign. Yeah, this is not a good sign. And there goes. Oh my god, Fu into Cronia, and he's going to go and try to make that lethal final attack. Scientist Fu going up to 25, 35, 45, 45, 50. Is that all? He needs to go all in. I don't know if he's learned the basics of going all in yet. Like I said, this is his first time playing this deck, playing Dragon Ball in general.
He did look like he had a lot of extra cards.
Yeah, maybe that was all in as he can go because he is tapped out here. 25, 35, 45, 50, 50 to 25, 35, 45, 55. Yep. And he's going to go and activate the ability of the Great Ape. He's going to go and I think he needs to hit a target. Like if he does decide to resolve the card, he has to pick. Yeah, so he does pick the Bardock here. He's going to shuffle up and he's going to discard a card from his hand. Make sure he discards a card from hand. Man, Jonathan smelled blood and he went for it. Yeah, he discarded a Successor of Hope. So yeah, his hand is all 10Ks. So he's going to untap 3 here. Yeah, he's got Mafuba, some more extra cards, and 10Ks. Yeah. Wow, I did not expect this. This is shaping up to be quite the battle. I really did not expect this. I thought it would be a little bit more of a... I thought it would be a blowout on Alejandro's side. I'm not going to lie.
Mena has his own food.
Yep, he's got his own food. He can still turn things around here. Maybe that was Jonathan's only opportunity to strike here, but it looks like, what, did he go after the Beers? He went after the Beers, right? How did the Beers die?
He's attacking. Yep, he's attacking.
Okay, so he's just trying to clear Jonathan's board here. I think he realizes that he cannot kill Jonathan here, so he's just going to try to board control. And that I do not blame him for that. I think that's the correct way to go here. You do want to try to control the board state, make sure Jonathan does not have multiple attackers to kill him because Alejandro's only at 1. So obviously he has to pass the turn here. Jonathan's going to go and draw his card. He's going to get back his monkey, Alejandro is. And now Jonathan has to fight through a blocker, but Al is at 1.
This is very doable.
It's very, very doable. This is an exciting one, folks. Ooh, another Piccolo down, and that's going to take the barrier block. That's going to take the blocker out of the... I'm sorry, not barrier. It's going to take the blocker out of the way. and draw out a Nimbus. Thankfully, Jonathan did not attack with his leader first. Piccolo draws out another Master Roshi, and he's going to go final one, and he has a second Roshi. He had Nimbus, Roshi, Roshi. Alejandro still has 3 cards in hand. Holy smokes. That was incredible. What was that? That was... wow.
And that was amazing. You can see just how fast Jonathan Rodriguez was playing. So fast. I do not think he expected 3 negates coming out of Alejandro's side. I mean, Alejandro already was down relatively low on cards in hand, but he just miraculously came out of that turn, and he is trying to attack Jonathan Rodriguez back. I want to see if he's able to. I mean, 4 untapped mana might be very difficult to break through Jonathan Rodriguez's defenses, and the more turns that Jonathan is alive, the harder it's going to be for Mena to try to come back into this game, because he is very far behind. I'm extremely surprised at the power level of this mono blue deck, and I think Jonathan Rodriguez really has found something here.
No, yeah, he's definitely onto something, because this is incredible. This is... Alejandro's got his back against the wall, and it just doesn't seem... like, what does he have here? Like, Jonathan is untapping here with 6 energy. He's got 2 Piccolos. He's got a Gohan. He's got his leader attack. Like, he can still summon a creature. He can still play a Beerus. Like, there's so many things that he can do here. Is that a Beerus? No way. He has a Beerus! And that's... holy cow, and he scoops it up. Alejandro scoops it up. That is it for game 1. Holy cow. What was that? That was incredible. Jonathan takes game 1 from regional champion, seasoned veteran, Alejandro Mena, and Jonathan just started playing the game, and he just built his deck out of just theory.
Fashion too. I mean, Jonathan Rodriguez played so fast, as if he was playing Dragon Ball Super his entire life, and this is his first event, and he's in the finals, playing against Alejandro Mena with extreme confidence. He knew he had that game in the bag. Wow, extremely exciting game, extremely quick play. Just what seems to be a veteran player, Jonathan Rodriguez. I want to see if the sideboards here, if Alejandro, now that he knows what he's playing against, now that he knows that he has to prioritize of the barrier keyword in his monkeys, if he changes his play pattern going into the next game 2 and 3, I mean, he has to have something to deal with these bombs, deal with the Beerus in particular. You saw how the Beerus got multiple attacks there, and that most certainly crippled Alejandro's resources. So he's going to have something like Dimensional Food to try and deal with the Beerus threat here. And, I mean, Jonathan Rodriguez, in the same way, his sideboard could help him out in the matchup. But I mean, judging from that game 1, honestly, he didn't seem like he needed that much help. I mean, he just overwhelmingly defeated Alejandro in that first game, and the mono blue control deck might just be king of card advantage here.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me back like with set 1, set 2, when you're playing like Beeruses, because those are like tempo swings and it kills a creature, and then you apply pressure, and it's just like he's bringing it back to old school Dragon Ball, which is so crazy, because I didn't think it could be done because of how fast the deck, how fast the format has gotten. Like, to be able to play this value war and this like attrition game where you go and you're playing a bunch of 1-drops that replace themselves, and then you're getting cards that, you know, for sure get a +1 when they come into play, and then just doing all these things in culmination, I really did not think it was possible for that to happen again. So it's super crazy for this to be happening. It is. I did not expect that in anything.
Yeah, I mean, you see Jonathan Rodriguez right here. He's basically just playing the most fair deck that we've seen so far, and I mean, fairly unfair as I can see from here, because he just seems to have all the bases covered. He can get out of any situation with his removal, and if Alejandro Mena does not establish a barrier on his monkeys, as you saw in game 1, his entire board is just gonna die turn after turn after turn. And just like set one beers that controlled the board, this beers now uh, in set four with this blistering fast format still uh, fighting strong. So
playing mono blue. Like mono blue is probably the slowest of slow. Like you have, I think it's the only color that doesn't have like a one drop self awaken dude. Like Kaba, I mean red has Kaba and Trunks. Green, you have the new Gohan. Um, I don't know what else. Black has like a 3-drop or something, and they have the increasing evil mass Saiyan, which is just one energy that you can play that too. I don't think he's even playing that card. But it's just incredible. It's just so insane. Yellow has the Bardock, the progenitor. Like this is a color. Mono blue has a color that you don't have a 1-drop or a 2-drop that like gets you on the energy. The closest thing that he has is a 3-drop Tapion. That's all he has. That's what he's working with, and that's what and he's just playing a bunch of little dudes to try to get that card. And if he doesn't get that card, it doesn't matter because the format is so fast that you're getting awakened anyways. You get me? And if he doesn't, then he has that option. If he gets stalled out, he has the 3-drop. Yeah. I feel like it's set one all over again. It's super exciting. Something that I've never seen before. He's just making it work with this innovation. He's playing all in Vegeta also, which is pretty cool. That card has like 5 different effects, but it's good because it can take you, I think it takes 2 life from yourself. So as soon as you play that card, you automatically awaken that turn. It KOs a card and it gets some extra attack for the turn. And I think it's like double strike or critical. Yeah, it has. I can't even remember how many effects that the thing has because it's just incredible. But wow, that to take a game off this, even if he loses 2-0 straight up right here, I think that was just impressive enough, right? They both had ideal starts too. It's not like Alejandro fumbled on energy like he did here. He got a Piccolo off. Yeah, he got a Piccolo off energy here. So this, if he thought game 1 was tough, I think this game he has to jump through a little bit more barriers and hoops to even try to get a game with this subpar type start. At least he has that broad arc though.
I mean, Jonathan also, you saw him getting on off color card, but I mean, to your point about game 1, Alejandro played, and Alejandro played all the cards that he put in his deck. His deck functioned perfectly or near perfectly in game 1, and it was just extremely difficult for him to fight in that card advantage front. And Jonathan Rodriguez wasn't even close to dying in game 1. He wasn't playing risky. He was just taking his turns, making a mana every turn up to 6, and just curving out, and slowly but surely grinding out every single advantage that Alejandro Mena could get with his apes. So it just feels to me like Jonathan Rodriguez is a slight edge ahead of the format right here. All his years in different card games are certainly serving him well here. He did not have that good of an explosive start. Neither did Alejandro. So now we're going to see. We saw game 1 when both decks are in the front foot. Now we're going to see when they both stumble, who can, win that mid game fight.
Yeah, who can get up faster from the stumbling at the beginning of the game? I would imagine it would be Jonathan just because he's a single color. You don't have that blue that's completely useless. Jonathan does have that black that's completely useless, but all his cards are blue, so they usually require 1 blue or 2 blue, and he already has the blues up on there. So as long as he charges blue for the rest of the game, he's fine. A quick shout out to DBS Dex and Johnny Sniper. Appreciate the tier 1 subs. Guys, you guys get a free sub from Amazon, so please use that on our Twitch channel. I know we don't use Twitch too much, but every time that we use Twitch, especially leading up to the Regional Championship Series, we're going to do something special for our subscribers. So make sure you get that. You lock in that tier 1 sub as soon as possible. I guarantee you it's going to pay off. We're going to be streaming the DBS Regional and Otakon coming up in a few weeks. And then we got the Atlanta Regional, the Richmond Regional, and then the Orlando Regional. We're going to be doing some giveaways. It's going to be something super special, and the stream is going to get even better because we're like more than halfway to our Patreon goal, which is so insane. It's going to get us a nice camera to do some high quality streaming, just like you see. I don't know if you guys have followed like the Pokemon streams, and then the official Pokemon streams, and then the official Yu-Gi-Oh streams, the ones that they put like thousands of dollars towards to, and then the companies actually sponsor those. They're not like ran by individual companies. We're going to be doing the same exact things for you guys to make sure you guys get crisp quality. You can read the card straight for your computer. We're going to be pulling up the card on the side just like Magic the Gathering. It's going to be really, really cool, a really good experience, and a really cool journey as you see our content, step it up as we take it more and more seriously. So you subscribers are the ones that make all this possible. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. This is just a step in the right direction. I can't wait to get this channel and this content creation to another level. Am I getting the decks tonight, DBS decks? I promised our Patreons the top 8 deck list. So I can give you some other deck lists from not top 8, and then Patreon. The Patreon guys will get the top 8, yeah, because we did have a top 16. So I'll get the top 8 to Patreon, and then after about a week or so, I'll probably forward it over there. Sorry, man, it was a promise to my Patreon subscribers, and it's another reason why you guys should be on Patreon, because that's the only way you'll get some exclusive content from us. And it doesn't go as far as top 8 deck lists. We have a Discord channel exclusive with all our members on it. You can talk with any of the pros on there. And that's just a basic level subscription. So make sure you guys get that Patreon sub. You need to be a minimum $5 subscriber for you guys to get these top 8 deck lists. So make sure you go on there and check it out. It's a really good treat for you guys to actually see what's going on right before Gen Con. So, and it's another way to kickstart our Patreon to keep going, because we've already had a fantastic week. Not even a week. You know, we've sold out both PPG Elite tier memberships. One of our Elite tier memberships actually top 8'd this event. After not playing DBS for a while, he was able to get some sessions in with some PPG pros. Another one of our tier elite memberships is going to be at Gen Con, so we're going to see how he goes. He got in like a 4-hour session the other night with Peter Catani. I had a small little session with him as well, and we're going to keep working on these guys and making sure that we develop them and make sure that they get you know, their game to another level, because these guys are just on a completely different level. And I know Jonathan's success is in part attributed to playing so many great opponents here at PPG. So he's lucky enough to come to our local and actually fight against these guys, even if it's just in tournament. Yeah, even if and beat up on these guys too, which is so crazy. And I love to see things like that. And you can only imagine if people like this are guided in the right direction. You can only imagine like what type of what type of things that they can accomplish, So it really makes me excited to see these guys just do so well with something as original as this, Like, I would never think in a million years that a Super Saiyan mono blue deck would make it. Yeah, no, I thought blue was done. We remember when we were playing Mecha with like mono blue, and we were just playing like the only yellow cards we were playing was like Cold Bloodlust and things like that. Like, what happened to those days? Like that was so fun. And now I feel like he's bringing it back, and I'm just like, damn it, now I want to play this deck.
And I mean, this is also reminiscent to the beginning of the Mega Frieza format, where a bunch of different archetypes were sprouting up, and in the end, Mono Blue ended up being one of the most consistent decks and one of the most powerful, simply because of how the mana works, how much draw power it has. You can see it here with 3 different 1-drops that draw extra cards, and in this format right now, it's just that evolution and that transition. But blue, is still doing blue things, and it's really exciting to see. It's one of the best archetypes, in the past formats, and Jonathan Rodriguez is adopting those examples and just really ahead in this game 2 against Alejandro after taking game 1. So there's a shout out to the old school Beerus summoning here, taking out one of the apes. I mean, Alejandro has not been able to play the barrier ape on board during this entire match, and it's really cost him.
This strategy by Jonathan is really shutting down. I think this is the most vital to the ape deck, because they can't, like, they play an ape, you play a removal on your next turn. You get me? Like, it's very hard to get anything going, because Alejandro sure could resolve a march at best or at worst for Jonathan and play 2 apes, but none of them are going to have barrier. You can't just march into a barrier monkey. You got to set up a barrier monkey. You first have to play a King Vegeta, because you can't do all this in one turn. You got to play a King Vegeta, then pass, then my turn. It has to live. It has to live. Yeah, hopefully it lives. And he has a 3-drop answer to that in Tapion. Like, he could just take 1 life and put the Vegeta back on top of your deck, and you're just like, like, what do you do there? Next turn, sure, you get the 4 energy, march into 2 guys. My turn, play a Piccolo, kill 1. Attack, you're going to defend? No, it's critical, take a life. Like, what do you do there? Like, you feel like you're just drowning and you're suffocating, because you're just like, oh man, and now another guy has the team, and now another guy. Now Beerus comes in, he's got double strike, he killed another monkey. You're like, damn it, like, I can't do anything here. And it's getting to it. And I feel like it's becoming more of a control deck in this matchup. I mean, more of a aggro deck in this matchup than a control deck.
I mean, sure, certainly showing how aggressive it can be. Something about the ape deck is that when Alejandro Mena blocks with an ape, Jonathan can just simply throw super combos on the card that is attacking the ape, and Alejandro might struggle in defending the apes. And once you get through the actual apes on board from the ape deck, it's not difficult to refuel. But what the ape deck thrives on is summoning two apes one turn, and then stacking on those two apes with another two apes on the next turn. But with them all dying turn after turn after turn, it seems like Alejandro just can't get a footing in this match. And look at this overwhelming pressure from Jonathan Rodriguez's side, and Alejandro doesn't have something like Sensu being in his list to fend off this 1500 attacker. So not only are they killing a card every single time that they're summoned on board, they're also either taking a life or taking a 5k from Alejandro's hand or board. So I mean, just in terms of card economy, this mono blue control deck is, in the purest sense, a control deck, and just so far ahead. Look at how many cards he has in his hands. He's so far in this game that he's just manoing his 5-drop His while he has 6 mana on board. It's just an embarrassment of riches right now, and I want to see how he closes his game out. He still has to fight through 2 apes on board, actually 3 apes on board. So and a flying nimbus that Alejandro's using right now. He looks to have a full grid of cards, so definitely not out of the game yet, but he has to get something going soon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I don't know what Alejandro could do in this case here. He's stuck with Crusher Ball in hand. He's stuck with Nimbus, some Piccolos. Just, yeah, I can see 2 Crusher Balls, 2 Piccolos, a Barrier Vegeta. Yeah, some Barrier Vegeta. He needs to lay down that Barrier Vegeta like ASAP. Once he gets that Barrier Vegeta down, I think Jonathan gets a really, really hard time dealing with anything. And then at that point, Alejandro can actually start attacking the Piccolos from Jonathan, and then hopefully get into a game state where it's a little bit more simplified on Jonathan's side. Because if Jonathan still keeps pressuring with these cards on board, oh my god, and he's got a Beerus now. Jesus. That Beerus is going to be putting in a massive amount of work, especially when there's decks that play so many low-cost cards. That's kind of where Beerus shines, because now you got to dedicate. Yeah, now you got to dedicate like multiple cards instead of just like, oh, this one 6-drop that's in my hand. You get me? If it ever takes an energy, that's when you're looking like, oh man, I'm in trouble. I'm definitely not very favored to win this game. So.
And I believe the Beerus here got Mafubad, so a little bit of respite to Alejandro here, who flying Nimbus, so he's not going to take that many attacks this turn, and gets to untap with a reasonable amount of apes on board too. So far, has that King Vegeta 5-drop in hand, so his apes could very soon have barrier. And from this point forward, even though we've been talking a lot about how Jonathan Rodriguez, seems to be extremely favored in this matchup, Alejandro is a few steps away from establishing the lock and, taking a foothold in this game. So he's been losing during the early portions of this game, but it being his turn, he might be in control again. But we get to see Jonathan Rodriguez here using one of the staple cards of the format right now, the pseudo super combo GT Goku, defending his life very efficiently here. Just 4 of staple in every single deck. I mean, it's just way too good of a card to not have. Dimensional Fu, getting rid of the biggest card on Jonathan Rodriguez's board, and attacking for double strike, which is very meaningful right now. Only 5 cards in hand for Jonathan Rodriguez, so unless his Beerus can pull a lot of work, he might be in trouble.
This might be a swing over in Alejandro's side for the tempo, just because that Fu can essentially get rid of 2 threats. It can get rid of one on the summon and then another one with an attack. And now we see the big boy come out to play, Mr. Barrier himself, and he's going to go after Jonathan's life now that Jonathan's at 1. and he's going to go and try to go all in on here. And let's see if Jonathan has a response to this while he's sitting at 2 life, because this monkey does have double strike and Jonathan is at 2. So let's see if Jonathan has a response here. The only problem with Jonathan's deck, it's very heavy on 10Ks. You can see the Massane, you can see the Bergamo, you can see other 10Ks in his hand just sitting there. So,
Might be a good thing for him.
Yep, no, he scoops it up. Yep. And that's over. Ali takes the aggressor on that match and is like, I'm not gonna let you kill me with all these with all these dudes on board. You can see Jonathan's board was getting out of hand, and Ali is just like, I gotta change my focus to the deck. I gotta change my focus to the life and start killing my opponent, because if I play the monster game, my opponent's always gonna win. If I play my opponent's game, he's gonna win. He's gonna go and out. He's just gonna overwhelm me with a bunch of creatures, and I can't do anything about it because my deck is very defensive, and he can only play like 1-2 apes, a turn max. 2 apes if he's lucky and he does some march. So Alejandro evening the score at 1-1, and this is shaping up to be a very intense match. I wonder what Game 3 is in store.
It's going to be Game 3 of the finals here. Jonathan Rodriguez with his unexpected, unconventional blue control deck versus Alejandro Mena, first champion ever, playing SS3, good old Apes. I definitely want to see what is in store for Game 3. I don't think they did very much sideboarding. I think they're very comfortable with their configuration after Game 2. And we're going to see who takes the crown here in Game 3. Super exciting. They're just shuffling up here. I mean, Jonathan Rodriguez, most definitely, as we've seen in the past 2 games, has the advantage during the early game, during the mid game. You saw Alejandro Mena, the moment that he established the barrier ape, he was able to come back into the game, just use all his 1Ks for free, and take over the game and win. But if he does not get that in Game 3, he might be in trouble. So
I think that is the key to success to Alejandro winning this. He needs to be able to get that barrier monkey down as soon as possible and just start going at Jonathan's life, because the faster he gets to Jonathan's life, the faster that he can get on there on the map and start putting some real pressure on his opponent. Because if he doesn't have a barrier monkey protecting his dudes from being bombarded by Jonathan's cards, then Jonathan's going to be able to use the tempo swing and just be able to kill everything that Alejandro plays, and then Alejandro is going to lose resources and utilities. Those apes are very important. He only plays 8 apes plus maybe 2 barrier monkeys, so a total of 10 apes. If your opponent, if you play a monkey, they kill it, and then you play a monkey and they kill it, you're already down a decent amount of apes. Now you got to try to go find a March of the Apes. You got to go try to find more apes. You've already drawn a few, so what are the chances you draw more? There's probably going to be more in your life. Like, there's so many different alternatives to that, and it's just, what are you going to do? So I think the game plan for Alejandro, get out really early, try to land a King Vegeta, and hopefully Jonathan doesn't have a Tapion to stop it. But there's a Tapion right there into Jonathan's life. The only drawback here, Jonathan's going first. So by Jonathan going first, he's already up on energy. They're both playing the same leader, so they're both going to start with 2 energy, but Jonathan's going to get to 3 immediately, and then Alejandro's going to get to 3 after him. So Jonathan, if Alejandro does end up landing and staking that King Vegeta turn 3, it's going to be Jonathan's turn 4, and he can play a Tapion and like a Cronia or something, which is insane. He's going to be able to kill the King Vegeta, awaken, attack. Like, he's gonna have that whole momentum swing on his turn, and it's gonna be something that's super overwhelming, and it's gonna set Alejandro back a lot. He's gonna have to answer with a March of the Great Apes, and then Jonathan goes to turn 5 and can play a Beerus, and then what are you going to do? You're not going to block with the monkey. You're going to have to dedicate some cards from hand, and then if he has that barrier monkey play, it just makes it harder because now he's trying to defend his life and he's trying to set up at the same time. Your cards can only do so much.
and again, that 5-drop Beerus is so devastating for the Apes to deal with, because normally Alejandro has 4-drop cards at the most. We saw that in Game 1, he was able to discard a Scientist Fu, which, we say fortunately, but getting rid of a Scientist Fu was spectacular for Jonathan Rodriguez. So even Alejandro's best case scenario wasn't that great. And once he starts taking multiple cards with that Beerus, and on top of taking multiple cards from Alejandro's hand, he also forces Alejandro to defend his life from a 25k attacker. Things get really difficult. So There he goes, his awakening tool on turn 3. Awakens for 2. Alejandro already awakened, something that he had not done in the previous turns, I don't think. So very fortunate to be able to awaken on turn 1. He drew a card. Jonathan Rodriguez now retaliating, drawing a card as well. You can see just how quick the format is right now, where both decks can accelerate this fast, and even the blue deck, which no the blue color is normally the slower of all of them, still just as quick as Alejandro's yellow deck.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The
Super Saiyan 3 can make so many decks just give it a speed boost, And I feel like the speed boost, I think it's the most. I think this is the deck probably blue is because it's probably the slowest. I think this is the one that appreciates the most. The other decks I don't think need it, which is why you see like turn 1 awakens and all that stuff. Like this blue deck can't do that. The earliest it could do it is turn 2, which we saw here with the Tapion, right? But that requires Jonathan to tap out, So it's still something that is like, okay, yeah, sure, I can awaken turn 2, but I'm using all my energy. Yeah. In other decks, you're just like one drop, I'm doing other things, I'm fluting, I'm drawing a card, I'm doing a bunch of other things, and it's just so crazy. And that's what just makes it so powerful. But like I said here, the King Vegeta play ended up resolving. So.
And I mean, another subtlety, where in game 1, when he might have not known exactly what his opponent was up to, Alejandro left a card on the board for the Tapians to take away. Jonathan just had to play it to awaken with no additional value, so definitely knowledge coming in handy in this game 2 and 3, and Alejandro showing that he's a veteran player, showing that he can adapt to any strategy his opponent is doing. And I mean, he might come back, and from what looked like almost getting swept, he might turn it around and just be our release champion. So definitely, I want to see how we go from here. Jonathan Rodriguez, these are his strong turns. These are the turns where Alejandro doesn't have cards on board yet, and Jonathan Rodriguez can force combo defenses, force cards out of Alejandro's hand just to set up for that turn 5 Veers. So very interesting how the game will shape up.
Yeah, taking flight, you can activate the Pickle ability every single turn. So if it does end up saying, oh, actually, no, you can't. I think it's only just once, and then you negate the ability the whole time for the rest of the game, I believe. Yeah. So you can actually just play it, leave it on board, and then use it some other turn. Yeah, wait for something that you want to kill, and then kill that. So yeah, that's what makes that card very, very powerful. And on top of that, it does have the ability of one, it's barrier, so your opponent's not getting rid with skills, and then it's critical, and then it's an activate main ability, so it's not like an auto that comes into play, kill something. It's just kill something with an energy cost equal to or less than your energy and KO it. Then for the duration of the game, that skill gets negated on that one. So if you were to play multiple of them, they don't get all negated. Yeah, no, that card is just ridiculous. The more we see it, the more we read it, the more we realize, wow, we have really, really slept on that card.
And I mean, it might not be so much that we slept on the card. I mean, when it was released, many of the people in our PPG team were fond of the card. They wanted the card in their decks, but you just could not facilitate a blue strategy that worked in the past few formats. And now with the set 4 cards, maybe the not even maybe Jonathan Rodriguez is proving here that blue has a place in the format, and because of that, some cards that previously seemed too difficult to place in the deck, that Piccolo in particular being a 3 blue cost card, I mean, now they come into prevalence, and we're seeing their power level here.
I feel like there's so many more things that you could be doing with this blue shell that Jonathan's already got going, that it really makes me excited for what other things that can possibly be done. And ooh, there we go. That was huge. That Piccolo was insane. Got rid of a monkey, and now it's a critical. Unfortunately, it gets bounced back by a 10k combo, but yeah, no, it forces it, and then the Tapion tries to go and take, and Alejandro takes it. He goes down to 2, and that's a big one. Did he just go down to 1? I think he just went down to 1. I think Ale's smelling blood, trying to kill him next turn. I think Jonathan here at 3. Is that 3? I feel like that's 3, right? It might be 4. We're going to go with 3. Last time I guessed I was right. Yeah. So Jonathan at 3, and I think Alejandro just might be smelling blood in the water, and that's why he took all the way down to 1. He wanted to see more cards. He wanted to see as many cards as possible in order to kill his opponent. Going up to 5 energy here, it's going to be hard, but a March of the Great Apes might be able to help him there. Jonathan's has 4 energy untapped, so you got to respect double Mufuba. You got to respect Raging Attacker Son Gohan, which you see off here right now, and Barrier Monkey down for Alejandro. It cannot be Mufuba'd. Oh, wait, can it be Mufuba'd? It can be Mufuba'd. Yeah, it can. I don't think it... Yep, it can be Mufuba'd, I believe.
That's probably why he didn't attack.
Yep. It can be Mufuba'd. The thing is, with Barrier, it only affects cards that say choose, and Mufuba does not say choose. So it's one of those cards that gets around that. The only thing that Mufuba does not get around in this game, I believe, is the triple strike flash on Goku, which makes it even more insane, because the triple flash says your opponent cannot activate counters. So, yeah, and the reason why that stops... the Mufuba stops Victory Strike is because Victory Strike says this attack cannot be negated, and Mufuba's not negating anything, you know? So, super, super cool interaction there.
Alejandro has to be feeling pretty comfortable here, much more so than in game 1 and probably game 2. I think he's established control. He has the 5-drop. He has defensive tools. He put his opponent under Flying Nimbus. And you can see here, if Jonathan Rodriguez doesn't do something soon, this innovation, this mono blue control deck might be at its end.
Jonathan here with Bergamo in hand. I think he's going to play the Bergamo, and I would too. I'd play the Bergamo and probably just like attack the monkey and try to kill it. Just to get a little bit pressure off of Alejandro's board. Makes Alejandro's board clear up a little bit, and then it has less cards for Alejandro to actually answer Jonathan. Bergamo. Ooh, and a Bergamo down on the board. Yeah, he's at 1, but unless Jonathan's going to pump into this Bergamo, you think Jonathan pumps into the Bergamo here, which is also fine.
Doesn't even allow him. Maybe he just negates it. We'll see.
Yeah, no, he can negate it, and I don't think he's going to negate it here, which is might be a mistake. It might be a mistake here to not negate it, because I think I think Jonathan's going to go all in here.
Yeah, this might be it. I mean, he's putting all his cards on the table, tapping out just for this one moment. Alejandro let this happen. He let it go through. He had the mana to use the Flying Nimbus in his hand, but he did not do so. And I mean, I think Jonathan Rodriguez has it here.
Wow, I can't believe this. Is Jonathan really going to take it through this negate? Oh my god. Yeah, I don't think Alejandro has enough combo to stop that. There's no way. All right, we got 20. We got 50, 60, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 105. And I think Jonathan thinks he has it, because he's just fumbling and tumbling. And 25, Alejandro, can you beat 105? 35.
I don't think he has it.
35. 45. Ooh, man, that was a big one. The last one. That was exciting. All right. He might have it. 25, 35, 45, right? 45, discard a card. Yep, 45. All right, just recount really quick. Yeah, no, it might be intentional. Like, oh, bait you into going all in and then kill you next turn, because Jonathan did have 3 life, so I think it was hard for him to beat him if he had that many cards in hand. So this might be a next level play here by Alejandro, and we'll see 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90? Oh, no, it's not enough. He had 90. No, he thought 90 was enough, and he got killed by it. Oh my god, Jonathan Rodriguez takes it.
He was not expecting that all in.
Yeah, no, he didn't expect that all in. From Alejandro's side, he was like, look, he's going to go all in on something that he cannot overcommit, because I have more cards and he has free 10Ks. I mean, he has free 10Ks, so theoretically, yeah, theoretically, an ape deck should never get shotgunned like that, because they have so many cards that they can use, especially with the Barrier Monkey out. All their 10Ks are essentially free, so that should never really happen. And he just took, he took a very, very risky play, and Jonathan had, 4 super combos. That was insane. That was insane. Yeah, he had a negate, but the reason that he didn't do the negate is because Jonathan has so many cards in hand. And if you make Jonathan go all in and he doesn't successfully kill you, he automatically loses the next turn because Jonathan has 3 life. But if Jonathan keeps all those cards in hand, and then Ale has a much harder time killing him, especially because his monkeys aren't getting through. Like, his monkeys are getting destroyed. He doesn't have that many presents on board. Like, he has to inflict 3 in one turn, which is very, very unlikely because of how much defense Jonathan had. So
It just comes down to Ale did not expect that much combo power.
yeah. No, that definitely wasn't a misplay or a mistake by Ale. He did that intentionally. Like, that was an intentional play.
He could have stopped 90.
No, yeah, he could have stopped 90. Like, he had the defense. It's not like Ale was sitting there with negate in hand and like 20k or 30k worth of defense. You know, he was 90. He had 90. Like, he was what, 15 off from actually just like stopping Jonathan and just like beating him there, like straight on, like straight. Yeah, he just didn't expect that much combo power out of Jonathan's deck, and underestimated it, and he took it. But that was what a game. And Jonathan's just opening his TPs on stream. So let's just watch.
Enjoy this TP
Let's just extra value for you guys on YouTube and Twitch. TP opening here. You guys could check out the ratios and see exactly.
Amazing. 4 super combo.
Yeah, 4 super combos. I mean, you don't expect that going down the stretch. I mean, like, it's not like the blue deck is drawing infinite cards.
I mean, think about it. Think about it like this. Ale saw Jonathan Rodriguez's board. He only had 2 open mana. He had less cards than Alejandro had at that point in his hand. Alejandro was going to take full... Like Alejandro did not want the game to keep going further because Jonathan Rodriguez looked like he had a full hull, at least at the battlefield at the time. And all Ale was going to be forced to do was keep using Flying Nimbuses turn after turn. And eventually Alejandro would lose. So what ended up happening was Alejandro said, okay, look, you only have 2 open mana. I'm going to let you try to go all in. I'm going to force you to maybe make a mistake and not kill me with a full all in, tap out too low, and then I can end the game on the next turn. But it just so happened that Jonathan Rodriguez, 4 super combos, 2 more off the mana, a bunch of 5Ks. We were talking about it at the beginning of the match. He just plays 12 1K draw cards, showed it there. 105,000. Alejandro had 90. I mean, Alejandro just simply did not expect that much combo power, and it showed. And he died with 2 Flying Nimbuses in his hand, 1 Roshi in his hand, but it wasn't a mistake. It was just simply overkill, basically.
Yeah, it was just he underestimated the combo power from his opponent. He had 90k. I mean, that's usually good enough. Usually when you see shotguns, they're like 80, 85, maybe even 90 sometimes. He's like, well, I have a decent amount of cards. I'm going to bait him into doing this all in. And boom, it bit him. So great tournament. Fantastic turnout. Thank you so much.